So in today's video, we are going to work on our background. We are going to try and make a parallax effect background. So we're going to have multiple layers in our background. And then when the camera moves from left to right or from right to left, depending on which way you're traveling, we're going to want the backgrounds, because they're in different layers, we're going to make it look like they are further behind each other. So it's going to give it like an extra dimension, so that when the player moves along the platform, each background, depending on which order it is in the layer, it will move at a slower or faster rate than the one in front of it or behind it. So it will look like there's something a lot further behind. It's kind of like when you're in the real world and like you're in a long, like a very empty space, kind of like in a desert or something. When you're moving, say you're in a car or something and you're driving along a road, you can see all the bushes and stuff right next to the road. Those are moving at a fast rate, and then the further you look, the slower things look like they're moving. So that's what we're going to try and replicate in today's episode. So let's give it a try. It's called the parallax effect. We're going to use 5 different backgrounds to do this. Don't know how well it's going to go, but let's go and attempt it. So let's jump into it and give it a go. Okay, so first thing we need to do is we have our camera, that's our canvas. We have our camera, which is over here. Now, these are our 5 backgrounds that we are going to use. These are the ones that came with this game pack, this asset pack. So we're going to use those. So I believe the first thing we need to do is we need to create a background object. So let's call this backgrounds. And then we can go and drag all of our backgrounds into this game object. So I don't really know which order we're going to put them in yet. So let's just drag them all in. 1, 2, 3, 4. We might just leave it like that. Where's that one? That one needs to be there. Okay, so here are our backgrounds. Let's just go and position them to where we want them. Okay, so we want them to start off over here, somewhere like that. What does that look like? Okay, I'm just going to lift our camera up, because I don't think it's going to lift up, because when we play the game, it's going to reposition itself. Actually, no, it's not. Okay, so let's leave that like that. So there we're going to start off like that. Now we need to go and fix the order of these. So let's bring our number 4 in front. Okay, so let's say this one. Which one is this one? Let's go and comment these ones out. We'll not comment them, but disable them. Okay, so this is the one we want at the very beginning. So let's go and put that at, let's see, let's try, we've got 5, so let's put that at 5. And then this one is, we can't really see that one, so let's just put this at 4 for now. Okay, that's fine. Let's just go 4, and then 3, 2, and then the one at the back, which I think is that's the one we want at the back. We'll put that at 1. So now that they should all be in the correct order, you can see that we've got 5 different backgrounds. Now we need to go and try and get them to move. So let's go and do that. So I think we need to go and create a script, which we do need to do. So let's go and create a new script, and this is going to be called the parallax script. So we're C# script, and this is going to be called parallax. So parallax. And then let's go and edit that. So I don't think I've opened our scripts yet. This is the wrong one. So let's go and open this up, and then we can start working on that. So that we're gonna need we're gonna need probably like 2 or 3 variables. First one, well, one of them being a parallax effect. So that's going to determine, it's going to be a float, and it's going to be to determine at what speed the background actually moves. So because they're all going to be in different layers, we're going to give them different floats, so that determines the very ones at the front will have a higher value, or I don't know if it's higher or low, I can't remember, but it will have a value that will make sure that one moves at a faster rate than the ones behind it. So whatever the one at the very front is, it will be small. I think it's smaller. So the smaller the number, the quicker it moves, and the bigger the number, the slower it moves. I believe. I could be wrong, but we'll figure that out. I haven't done this in a while. So let's go and say, first things first. We are going to need a few floats. So let's go and say private float. This is going to be our lengths. So we're going to need the length of the background, so that all of them are the exact same length. So we're going to need a length, and then we're also going to need a starting position. That should be it. And then after that, we are going to need our camera. So let's go and say private camera. And then we're also going to need a parallax effect. So this is going to have to be public because we have to fill this in the inspector, because they're all going to be different values. So let's go and say public. Actually, let's go and make this. This is going to be a serialized field, so just so that we can drag and drop our camera in it. And then this one will also be a private, but it is also going to be a serialized field, because then we can drag, or not drag in, we can input the value that we want. So this is going to be a float parallax effect. So that's just going to be a value that we can add onto each background, so that we can determine which what am I trying to say? Which speed each one has to have. Okay, so let's go and drag this underneath our camera, make that a child object. Now, because we actually, you know what, let's do this. So let's go and add our parallax effect onto this. So let's go and say parallax effect. Well, it's not parallax effect, it's just called parallax. But now we've got our parallax script attached to our backgrounds. It should be attached to all of them because I selected all of them. So now we can go and drag in our camera. So hopefully doing that, it should drag it into all of them. Now, the one at the very back, which I believe is this one, needs to have a parallax effect of 1, because that we want it to move. Actually, you know what? Let's just go 1. I can't remember which order it is, but we'll put the one at the very back at 1. This one is going to be at 0.7. The next one, let's just put at 0.5 maybe. The next one at 0.3, and then the one at the very front, let's go and put at 0.1, something like that. So we'll save that. Now let's go to our script and start writing our script. So in our start method, we are going to want to get the start position of each background. So to do that, let's go and say start position, and that is going to be equal to our transform dot position, and we're going to get the x value because that is what we need. We don't need to use the y value or the z value because they're going to stay the same for the x, for the y and the z. The only thing that's going to change is the x value, because we are going to be moving our background along the x-axis. You can see it change over here when we go and update the value. So this is the direction that background is going to move at start, but then depending on which direction the player is moving, because remember, these backgrounds are going to be following the camera, and the camera is following the player. So technically they're following the player. Well, not really, but wherever the player goes, the camera goes, and therefore the backgrounds will go. So let's go and do that. So the next thing we're going to need to do is we need to go and set the length of our background. So we're going to say length is going to be equal to get component, and we need to get the sprite off of our component. So sprite, and then we can go and what are we going to, let's have a look and see. It's a sprite renderer. So let's go and say sprite renderer. Sprite renderer, and then I hope I spelled that right. Sprite renderer, and then this is going to be dot bounds, and then it's also going to be the x value. So let's see, x dot size dot x, like that. So that should give us the length of each what am I trying to say? Each background, but they're all going to be the same, but we still need to do it because the script is going to be attached to each of them. So we'll leave that like that. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to go and move our backgrounds. As we move our player, we now want to go and move the backgrounds along with the camera. So to do that, let's go and say, what are we going to say? We're going to need a distance from the starting position. So when we go and move, we need to calculate what the distance is from the original position to where it's moved. So let's go and say what it's going to be. It's going to be a float, and this is going to be distance. And this we can go and set to the camera. Camera.transform.position.x, because we're only working on the x-axis. So that's going to be that times our parallax effect. So we'll leave that like that. And then what we can do now is we can go and set the position of each background with this distance. So here we can go and say transform.position is going to be equal. So this is basically just updating the position once we've got the distance. So here we can go and say is equal to a new vector. I think it's going to be a vector 3, although we're not changing the y or the z value, so it's only going to be working on the x. So here let's just go and say transform.position.y and then transform.position.z. so those are going to stay the same. So we need to go and work on our x value here. So what we can go and do is we can go and simply say start position, and then we want to add on our distance to our starting position, if I can spell it correctly. Now what am I doing? Start position plus distance, like that. So let's go save that, and hopefully that works. So let's give that a test and hope for the best. So I don't actually expect this to work because I feel like we've missed something. So if we move, oh, okay, so it is working. You can see that each background is currently moving at different speeds, but that doesn't really look right. So let's go and see. If we, let's just make this bigger and see, let's focus on there. So if we move our player, you can see that our backgrounds are moving nicely, but you can see that's not what we want. We want them to repeat each other. So we need to go and duplicate them and then also reset them. So when we reach the end like this, or when the background actually reaches the side of the screen like that, we're going to go and want to reset it. So we're going to go and want to put it back onto the other side. And to do that, we're going to need to duplicate them. So let's go and copy all of these. So copy and paste them twice. Now to do this, let's go and put these ones on. We need to try and figure out how big they are. So it's going to say minus 20, or what is it going to be? It's going to be that value, hopefully, minus 20. No. So let's do this. Before we do that, because I don't really know exactly how big they are, let's go and say print length. And then just to get the length of each background, we can go and... Okay, so each one is 35.7. Okay, so we'll round that. Okay, we probably should use the exact value, but let's go and copy all of these. And then we can just go and say minus 35. That doesn't work. Or does it have to be half of that? 35.75 divided by 2. It's roughly half. So let's just go and push them up here somewhere. It doesn't really have to be exact for now, but we will do that. Let's just push them like that, something like that. They should be fine like that. It's mainly just for testing, and then we can go and fix it later. So we'll put these ones over here. Something like that. And now these, oh, hold on. So a little bit of a gap there. So just going to push that like that. Now these ones should have the same parallax effect script attached to it. So let's go and play that and see what that looks like. So obviously we are what am I doing? We're not resetting them yet. So you can see the more we move along the game, our backgrounds do move along with us. You can see that we haven't yet reached the end, but we will get to the point where we reach the end like now. So at this point, we are going to want to go and put, where is it? This one, reset it and put it back on this side over here. So let's go and do that. But before we do that, I just want to go and select our duplicates and put them as a child object of that one. And then I don't know if it will make any difference, but let's just go and do that. And then the third one will be under that one. And then the fourth one will be under that one. And then let's go and put the fifth one underneath there. So I doubt that really makes much difference, but let's go do that. And then, okay, so that's fine. That's working nicely. But now let's go and reset our background. So this should be the final thing that we have to do. Like I said, I haven't really done this in a long time, so this might not work. But let's go and test it. So we are going to want to get out a temporary value to check that if we have reached the point where the background is now kind of going, you can see the end of it, we are going to reset it. So let's go and say float temp, and that's going to be equal to the camera dot position. That's not what I was looking for. Camera dot if I can type it, camera dot transform dot position dot x value, and then we need to get times the 1 minus the parallax effect. Forgot a bracket there. Okay, and then all we can do here is we can add in an if statement, and that is going to say if the temporary value, if the temp is going to be greater than the starting position plus the length of our background, then we need to go and say the starting position needs to be plus equals to the length. So we need to go and add the length onto it. So let's say that, and then else if it's not, we can go and say else if the, what am I saying here? Else if the temporary position is less than the starting position minus the length, then we can go and do the opposite and say starting position is going to minus equals the length. So let's save that, and hopefully we get our backgrounds to actually reset themselves. So let's see, do they stay in the same place? Yeah, they do. Now you should see that they are all in different positions. Now let's see, this one, that one, and that one. Okay, before we do that, let's go and reposition these. Okay, so they are all resetting. Actually, let's just go and play the game and see. Maybe we don't really need 3 of them, because you can see that one, they're all kind of moved onto each other and like squashed themselves. That one, but let's test it out. Let's see if we carry on along the. You can see that they are resetting themselves, except for these ones. Do they reset themselves? No. I mean, they do, just not how we wanted them to. Let's see. Let's see what's happening here. So if we zoom in, can we disable our canvas for now? We can. Okay, so where are we? We are over there. So here, let's see. What happens when we get to this point over here? Does it reset itself? No, not yet. It does over there. Okay. So it's working, just not how we want it to work at the moment. So that's fine. Let's just go and change one thing quick. I'm going to change this to a fixed update and see if that really has much difference to it. Because I remember, I think I did that in a previous game that I was working on. So not that really matters, but let's go and see. This is moving. Okay, so it's still not working. You can see that now that we've got here, these should automatically be resetting themselves. So you can see this one needs to reset itself and go down here somewhere. And then the other one, so there should be one in the middle that's on screen, and then there should be one on the far right that is kind of off screen. I think it will be, because I think the actual backgrounds are bigger than the camera. You can see that this is the size of the camera here, and then this here is the size of the background. So they should always be one on screen, and then there should be one on each side of the camera, or the end of each side of the background that's on screen. And then when the one that is on screen has now moved kind of like towards the other end of the screen, and the other one on the right is moving onto the screen, the one that's on the far left, which would be the one over here, which is not there at the moment, that one will now go and reset itself and put it back onto the far right, so that when you carry on walking towards the right direction, it looks like it never ends. And similarly, the same thing will happen going back into the left direction. So the same thing will happen. The one on the right will now go and reset itself and go back to the one that is, or should be, positioned at the far left. So we will fix that in tomorrow's episode. So that is going to be it for today. We've got to where, to be honest, it worked a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I didn't think it was going to work at all. But like I said, I haven't done this in a long time. So we'll fix this in tomorrow's, or in Wednesday's episode, because I think I'm going to switch to a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday schedule. So we'll fix this in Wednesday's schedule, but that's going to be it for today. So thanks for watching if you made it this far, and please do subscribe, because we're trying to get to the 1,000 subscriber mark. We're nearly there. We're almost a quarter of the way. That's not that close, but we're getting there. So thanks for the support, and I will see you in Wednesday's episode. So thank you, and goodbye.